Hey there everyone, welcome to my channel. So this session is all about Terraform best practices for multi-cloud or say AWS, Azure, GCP. Now, uh, I hope that you guys already aware of Terraform. It's a excellent infrastructure tool, and most professionals these days are utilizing Terraform to manage their infrastructure on cloud. It used for both in public clouds as well as suppose you want to manage other components just Kubernetes or the services. You can do that as well. I mean, we have providers for that. Now if you go to Terraform provider list, you will have all the provider lists that Terraform support, and you can simply utilize those. I will, like, before going deep to the subject of this best practices, let others join. I know just started, so it takes around 5 minutes max so that others get notified and join. So just wait for that time. And till then, do let me know from where you're joining. Like if you have any kind of questions, do feel free to ask me. I'll definitely cover that. So yeah, go ahead and ask me all the question that you have in mind. And why this happening? Let me just make sure that I cover all the questions, especially on LinkedIn, because what happened in YouTube, if you ask any question that it pops up, but if it's question on LinkedIn, it doesn't pop up, unfortunately. So that I will use my phone for any kind of question that I get on LinkedIn. Okay, let's see. And do let me know that I'm able, like you can hear me, you can see me, and all that kind of things. I mean, just to make sure that this session going very smoothly. Okay. Looks like there's a problem. Search is bit okay. Okay, looks like it's working. Okay, I got worried. Maybe my things are not working. Fine. Okay, all questions are coming. Mixed. I think people are joining. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, so lot of questions. So it's Navan saying, "Hi sir, which is better, Terraform, CloudFormation, ARN?" About that, I will say, see, there are a lot of tools, okay, and each cloud service actually have their own tools. For example, AWS have its own CloudFormation. If you go about Azure, they have their own tool. GCP has their own deployment kit and all. And specifically, AWS have multiple tools actually. Now you can also have that thing that like CDKJs and all, which is behind the scene in utilizing the cloud formation. Now they have support for Terraform as well. So there are a lot of tools, and all are great. But you have to notice the vendor lock-in or maybe the usability. Suppose, for example, suppose you are using Terraform. Now, same Terraform logic or implementation or the knowledge you get, it's more or less relatable to any cloud. So you learn in AWS, it's more like whatever you learned in Terraform, how to apply, how to plan, how to work with the say, sessions, or how to store in backend, how to store the remote file, the state file remotely. So once you learn all that, in most of the clouds, same like more of same. Maybe some terms or services will be differ, but the concept what you learn, you can utilize that in any cloud. Okay, they have the similar tools. But the thing is that if you learn cloud formation or maybe deployment kit and all, that's only specific to that cloud. You cannot apply that logic to anywhere else. So there is a lock-in thing, that if you don't want to lock in and you want to go for say multi-cloud approach and all, then Terraform will be the best tool. Okay. Okay. Hey, Pankaj, thank you. Ritik, Dimanshu, to Robina, Aman, Chandan. Thank you everyone for joining. I think yeah, most people joined. Now I can start my session without any guilt. Okay. Oh, in YouTube also a lot of comments came. Okay, so all good. Yeah, I was like worried my voice and everything is not clear. Okay, because I think I'm streaming after a long time, maybe 2 3 weeks later. So one question is there: the can student from cloud or can earn as part time using cloud? So there are a lot of opportunities available as part time, as full time, but you have to have some certifications in your hand, some projects and demo to show to the people. Then you'll get more chances. Otherwise, it will be tough. Okay, so what are the best practice to manage multi-cloud staging? Yes, that I'm gonna cover anyway, so don't worry. Is Terraform is good or HashiCorp console? So Hashicorp console is still a new thing, and I don't have much production level implementation of console, so I might be the right person to tell. But that is something even in my learning bucket list. So not yet. Once I do a lot of kind of production level project, I can give the difference. For now, I cannot, unfortunately. Okay, so let's come to this. Let me try to share this first. Where it is present. Now I'm trying to present it. Let's see if it works in a separate window. Present, present view. Okay. Okay. Let me share the screen. Yeah, I hope you guys can see the screen and as well as me. Sorry. Yep. Now I'm visible. Hopefully. No. What happened? Yeah. This is good. Okay, so we'll go one by one. I will try to like be um, kind of less theory as possible, like more practical sense and less theory as possible, because this is a kind of intro video. Anyway, I have full course on Terraform for basics and all, and this is wanted to cover for a long time to make sure that you guys like follow these things, best practices. Otherwise, later on you might face a lot of issues. That's the reason. Okay. Now, let's go to the first thing. Is that use Git for tracking code changes except the secrets and the status files. So, why I'm telling that or why this is a best practice. Now, suppose you work on any infra project, you make some changes, and then again you maybe got some idea or something, and you make again another changes. Okay, then we'll have no track of what you did last time and what you did now, right? Yes, you will have state files, but state file will not always have all the past the state that you wanted, right? For that reason, you should store all your codes in Git, and state file should not store in Git. Instead, you should store in S3, and there you can enable the versioning so that whenever the change happening, you have different version of the state file. You will have exact same feature, but the best thing that it's not in Git, so it will be not accessible to everyone in the team, right? Um, Whoever have the access to the particular bucket will only have the access, right? And also another thing, I'm just going through since the point that I'm telling you, use the state locking so that suppose anyone else also making a change, maybe some CI/CD thing running, and then you are maybe making the same change, and that's quite common these days. Okay, people don't know like who is making changes when. Maybe they know, but maybe not immediately. They don't know. And if you have this lock-in enabled, maybe using say DynamoDB, if you can integrate, or maybe if you other clouds have their own mechanism to do that. That way, like once one change is going on, it will be locked, and till that finish, no other change will be made. That way, you can have the integrity maintained, and suppose the changes happen, you have the updated state file, you can do sync it. So I mean, do the sync, and then again you will have the latest maybe variable file, latest the state files and everything. It will be much easier to like then make the changes. It will be easier. Okay. Okay, that is the basic thing. Like have the Git enabled, and for like Git is what GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, like every Git provider is like, they're giving you now. I think most of the this providers giving you free code, like free private code repo, so you can choose anything. It's up to you guys. Second is naming convention. Now, like I have seen personally while taking interviews in my last few companies, that people are using names like whatever they want, like hype, sometimes hyphen, sometimes underscore, two underscore, three underscore, and that is bad. So, what is the proper naming convention? I've given an example here. You guys can see it here anyway, that suppose whatever the like this sample cloud service name is actually a standard name. You will see any documentation. Okay, that's not gonna change. But this one, okay, sorry, I think, yeah, this one's is service name difference. So this is the actual name that you're going to refer in any other places, maybe for other inputs or outputs or whatever you want to define. So this is the name you're going to utilize a lot. Make sure to use that in underscore and not in like, first of all you will be consistent in using the name, so that other people don't get confused, especially I got very confused if it's hyphen or like other things, and later on having that will have a problem as well. So always use underscore, and in the name, suppose the service name, if they have other name attribute, you can use name, and there you can use hyphen, spaces, whatever you like. But this is the main service reference, the variable, whatever you, not variable, you can call this a name reference. There you should give underscore. Okay, that will be better. Yes. Okay. Now again, I'm going a bit fast because I have a lot of point to cover, and this is more of a basic one I'm covering. There will be a lot more. Okay, we'll come there. Now, first of all, why even you should go for this kind of modules and all? Because I'm saying here, maximize code reusability using modules and variable file. Like some actually some people ask me, sir, why we need to use module? I mean, Terraform main module is the main module itself, right? So we can use that one. But I say, see, you might have n number of services you are utilizing. Maybe you will have n number of use cases, or services will be a separate category itself. Or maybe the best part, you want to reutilize the same block of code in multiple places. Okay, do you want to copy paste again and again? It makes more sense to make a module of a common code and then reuse that module every other places. So you're not writing the entire logic again. You're just referencing the module and it's getting new reference block, right? And you can have, suppose you have requirement of one EC2 server and say key and say for example some storage and like maybe a database, and this is a kind of complete package. Okay, then you can just make it a module. Okay, whatever is required in the module you can define that and make a module out of that, and then suppose any other client want it, you can reutilize that module to create the same exact resources. And of course, say that the instance type can be different, the volume that the like if volume that is you can utilize, that could be different, the class can be different, and all those things you should actually utilize the variables, so that based on the client's requirement you can change that variable, and whoever like whatever client asks for a pay for, you can just specify that particular resource. That way it will be less costly, right? I mean, not less costly, you can utilize more, and you don't have to actually copy paste the entire code base for another client. You can utilize the same module multiple times. Like, this is just an example, and you can have n number of possibilities. Okay. Okay, I will come to all the questions. No worries. Let's cover the basic points. Then I will go out of this, this presentation, and I will explain more real life scenarios, because that is not enough to write all that. I mean, I can keep writing, but instead, I think maybe explanation better, and maybe later sessions I will do show practically. That will make more sense instead of explaining all that. I mean, this is just the basic explanation. That will be more on the practical side. It will make more sense there. Okay, and this is another very good practice, which actually I myself bit, I mean, I lack a bit, which I found very hard later on. But yeah, since I keep writing and writing, it become a practice, and I don't face this issue. So what happened, any resource you create, you should make a output of the resource. Maybe the instance, suppose the ID of the resource, you make an output, or maybe the ARN of that resource should be output. What could be the requirement, or could you feel that is might be required in the future? You should make it. That will make your life a lot easier. Believe me. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I don't want any call right now, so silent. Okay. So that's one use case. Another thing is that so then practical, getting a clue on that. Yeah, actually, yes, practical will be. Now this question is actually good one. Practical, I want to cover it very separately. This is one of a very basic theory one. Practical, I want to like this is theory, and all that I'm explaining will be a practical in the lab session. So what I'm planning actually, this is a very basic theory ones. And next session onwards, it will be more practical. Even the Kubernetes practical part, there are a lot of practical projects that I've built, demo projects that I've built throughout these years that I'm going to do as a lab. So that I'm going to do next. This is plain and simple basic practices you should be aware of. Then of course the practical part will come. There we'll see all in action. So don't worry, because in one session I cannot combine every single thing. It's a limited time, right? That's the reason. Okay, so that's the thing. Yes, I know, I know. Hands-on will be there. Of course, I have planned for it, but in the next one. Okay. Now, just make sure that all the outputs are there. Again, if you are like following, what are the exactly outputs? I can show that thing. Give me a moment. Okay. See, outputs are what? Terraform output values. See this one. Suppose you have a AWS instance, okay, and you want to output or print that value. You can make an output like that. Now, in normal cases, suppose it's a main Terraform module, you don't have any sub module or any other module. It will simply print on the screen after all the things executed, right? But if it's inside another module, and that module's any output, okay, any output will be utilized, in can be utilized, not like can be utilized as an input of another module. Okay, maybe a sample will be good. Let me show you quickly. Terraform module output input into another module. Let's see. There are a lot of like places you can see there. So output instance ID, then Kafka module. Yeah, see module CloudWatch instances, then module Kafka. So we have a module Kafka. There we have the instance IDs, like instance ID, I mean defined as output, that we are utilizing as module.kafka.instance IDs as the input reference. So you can do all that. Now I think I even made a live module development video. I think you will find my past videos. There it's defined in a more explained way, more detailed way. You might find that useful. Okay. Again, this is just a simple what you can call theory session. Practicals are already in the past as shown, but there will be a complete lab series that will be coming, and of course, you guys will have the access free of cost anyway. So another thing is that the separate using of separate files. Now, what I have seen a very bad practice, not a good one, is that people have all their, like inputs, all the variables, outputs, and everything other things like all the providers and everything in a single main file, which is nowhere the best practice. The best practice to have separate file for everything. Say for main, you should have your all the like, if you are not maintaining modules, then the main say uh, services or main implementation should be there, and any other say variables and everything should be in the variables. Like any, if you want to define any variable, put in variables TF. If you want to define any output, should be inside output. If you want to have any providers, make sure you have a file call, like if I want to mention maybe that file call providers, then .pf there you should mention. Okay. Now these are the basic theories. Actually, theories a lot of things can go on. What I want to explain more is the actual real life use case. Of course, we'll come into that. So, what are the use cases you'll find normally? Okay. Now, suppose you want to have separate environments. So, separate dev, separate stage, and separate production. There are multiple ways to achieve it. Okay. One of the best way to achieve that is having like same code. I mean, whatever the code you are going to utilize, make sure you're utilizing modules and make sure you are utilizing the variables file. So for production, you can have a file called say like prod dot like the tf var files. Then for staging, you can have staging dot tf var files, and that's how you can define your like variables with variables, and you can define all the variables and default values. But for different environment, you can pass specifically the variables in the command line. That way it will say for production deployment or production use case, you're only defining the variables related to production. And state file, that's, I mean, the state file also you can define custom for production, right? That you can do. Another thing I have seen, I will not say very common practice, a very good practice is that uh, utilizing of the different like directories itself, and then call the modules in the directories, and there you have your defined custom definitions, custom variables, and all. That is one of the you can do. Now, while explaining all this, actually each cloud, specifically Google Cloud, have already defined a very good list of all the good practices. That's why I thought maybe they already defined everything. I will just show you guys another link, and I will explain. I mean, anyway, you can see the examples also. Let me quickly share that. Give me a moment. Yes. This one. So let me see if I can show it to you guys. See this particular one. Okay, they actually have mentioned all the good practices like in a very detailed way. I will just post in uh, here in the comments. I hope you guys can see it. If you go to the link, you will see they have already mentioned all the good practices. There is another repo also which already have all these practices. I can just reiterate the same thing, but it's already there and defined in very good way. I thought maybe just giving the reference will be best thing. Like don't repeat myself for the exact same things. Let's go with the Google's one first, and let me actually make this window a bit better. I don't want to take more space, so I'll go for round. Yeah. So yes, again, if you go to the the Google one, adopt the naming convention, that's common. Everyone they are also saying the same thing. Then use data sources. So if you have already some resources defined in AWS, you should not. You can do import, or better if you are not making any change to that resource directly, you can use the data sources. Simply, I will just go through the more relatable one. Not everything. Include as owners, not that important. Labels also not that important. Terraform root modules. Yeah, this is a very good architect. I mean, architecture wise. See, they're using in the service directory or the modules directory. For each modules, you should have your like main variables, output providers. Should also include a README, and like this is a very common one. And the environments directory, you should have your own like backend, main, and all that. Like DFQA. Again, I feel that having a separate TF bars is actually more than enough, but that is also another way. Okay. Yeah, other things, yeah. TF bars, like they're also saying utilize the TF bars. Then that version control again, use your like gate for that. I think more or less this is like, yeah, state file. So that one I think in the beginning also I've covered that state file you should not store in any Git repo. You should make sure in the Git ignore you are mentioning to ignore all the state files. Instead, you should store the state file in the remote backend. Could be S3, could be Azure storage, could be Google Cloud Storage, whatever it is. But make sure you store there, not in the Git repo, and in of course in encrypted state, not as a plain text. Even any any kind of uh, secret you should store in it is cloud kind of thing. I mean, cloud say for AWS Secret Manager. In Azure, they have their Azure Vault. So in GCP, I think GCP also have their. Let me quickly check. GCP. Let me quickly check which other GCP have. I think Google Secret Store they have there. Okay, that part is not here. But Google have their own secret storage. You can store all the secrets there. No worries. And yes, there is another HashiCorp wall. I mean, if you don't want to go for any vendor lock-in, you can use Terraform. I mean, HashiCorp Vault. That is another good thing. Other than that, let's see. You can check out this other points in the article. In this Terraform best practices also they have covered most of the basic stuff. Another thing is actually running the even sometime what happen if you are working with multiple Terraform version, there is a TFENV. Okay, let me just quickly show you guys TFENV Terraform version manager. This one, if you utilize, then even if you're working on multiple Terraform different versions, that will make your task a lot easier. Yes, Naman Sharma saying one query sent. So let me share Naman. So Naman question is that let me check. Sir, after deploying infra through Terraform, if we make change in infra like add EBS through console, how the state? So state file will not capture that. If you make any changes outside of Terraform, it will detect. So you made this change outside of Terraform. If you don't make the similar kind of changes in Terraform file, it will like whatever you have in Terraform, it will override that. Okay. So suppose you make your in your Terraform, you have defined a AVS volume, for example, as 50 GB, for example, and externally you have increased it to 100 GB. Now, the moment you go for the Terraform plan or apply, you will see there will say in the confirmation or in the plan view itself, it will say that if you don't make like in your Terraform file the ABS volume 100 GB, it will go back to the 50 GB state. I mean 50 GB, it will become 50 GB again. So that thing you have to take care of. Okay. I hope that answers the question that you have to make sure that you make the change in the Terraform file to reflect the same in the real life scenario or actual whatever infrastructure you have. It should match the same. Otherwise, Terraform will override it. That's the normal scenario you should have. Anyway, let's get back to the best practices. If you are working with multiple Terraform versions and all, instead of having separate binaries for Terraform, you should simply use this Terraform TNV, and I'm actually utilizing that as well. Let me quickly show it to you guys. Uh, okay, sure. So TFENV, I think I should be having it. Why is taking that much long? It simply quickly show that okay, yeah, I'm utilizing, right. So using that you can like run and all again they have the documentation how to install, how to like add it, list all the version, everything, install, uninstall, all that is already there. I'm not going to repeat themselves, they already defined it. And this actually will make your life easier in working with different kind of projects and all that. There are another actually a way. So Terraform, there is a I mean Terraform have their official Docker image. Suppose instead of running, say I'm running Mac, okay. Suppose someone don't want to utilize a Mac system to run all the Terraform everything, you can, of course, you can do directly work on any cloud environment. like Cloud9 or other similar kind of tools and all. Other option is actually you can, like, if you want to work on command line, you can use Terraform, this Docker image, and there you can make all the things. Make sure that the volume you should map, otherwise that will get lost. Or maybe you should commit that. That's a bad practice. You should at least map the volume so that even if you're working on a Terraform, this Docker, that thing actually sync with your file system, and then you can commit. Not commit anyway. It should be storing that in a like state file in the backend in maybe S3 or other places. That should be the good one. Okay. Yeah, if anyone having any questions, do feel free to ask me. I know a lot of comments come in my LinkedIn feed, so I'm just checking that, guys. What happens, in this tool that I'm utilizing, there is no LinkedIn comments come, so I have to check in directly. So do we come here to see this? Okay, okay. Mm, mm. One is that starting as a DevOps engineer, less changes to work in the project. What is your guidance? If you are getting less changes to work on, then you should work in another project, or maybe leave the job and work in another thing. Explain a bit of Terraform pipeline, how to understand if it's already written. So if you have any deployment pipeline in Terraform, for example, um, like, it depends. I mean, what why it is in Azure pipeline or AWS CI/CD. There you can like, what to understand. The first thing, first is that you should have a export the plan, so that and someone see it, then you should have the stage to confirm, like approve that, and then it should get applied, and the state file will get stored in, say, any any backend in S3 or Google Cloud Storage or any other places. Based on there, it should be okay. That one. Okay, let me get back to the best practice screen. Just a moment. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, this one I'm talking about. So if you are going to store the state file, should using backend like S3, and of course make sure you encrypt it. Okay. There are a lot of ways. Another, like in the backend, you can mention the keys, you can have the regions, you can have the locking using DynamoDB table. You can do all that. Again, everything is actually mentioned in this. That's why I thought, okay, like why to repeat myself? You can just go to refer all this. That's why I mentioned the links also. Okay, let me say one comment is there. Sir, Terraform refresh command, can you refresh the state file with external changes? Actually, no. I mean, that will not work like that. It will still show you like what are the differences. It doesn't refresh, like automatically update your Terraform state file. Okay. Okay. What is next? Okay, they did Terraform state meta. Turn on debug mode. Yeah, one other good thing is that suppose you having some problem, you want to understand more deep way what is the issue, you can enable this tf log debug mode. Then it will show you more debugging, or say more console lines where you can see the what is the main problem and you can fix it. There is let's see. Mm, Avoid hard coding resources, that I always say. That's why in the beginning points I told that you should have your tf verse file, where you should mention all the variables that define. I mean, you're referring all the variable values. That is much better way. Don't hard code things. Update Terraform version, Terraform version manager is there anyway. Terraform Docker. Yes, this is like most of the cases you have that here. And another good practice, actually utilize the latest Terraform version as much as possible, because there are always minor changes happening. And what happen if you don't make update your code base? Some new features came in Terraform, and then what will happen? if you don't update your code base to like, don't frequently update code base, you will see a big difference from what you have leave your code with the old version and now the changes. Okay, that will be hard to manage. But if you like maybe a monthly basis or better in weekly basis, you update your code, I mean your Terraform version to the latest stable version of the Terraform, that will be much better. I think maybe weekly is too much, but monthly wise at least you should see if there is any new version came, the stable, then you should migrate to that version as fast as possible. Let's see if any other questions in LinkedIn. I think some things are stucking. It's fine. Let's see. Okay, what's is going on here? Is my video stuck for any reason? I don't know. So see, you work on any project using Terraform in any cloud. Basically, you have to follow the basic practices that I've just said. I mean, I will share the document. I actually have a complete one in another. I have to find it out where, but I maintained one other one that actually have more detailed full list. I will simply share that one. So you can follow those one, but the main challenges you'll face during the project is actually more important, and there you'll find it's much more important to have modules for your use cases. Most people want to do like whatever needed, uh, then just do it as a normal file in Terraform and normal code in Terraform. Later they find okay we have use the same code repeatedly, that could have saved a lot of lines of code if you use a module. Now, one question came: what is Terraform module and how it will work? So, see, Terraform. Suppose you initiate any Terraform project, okay, the basic one. That itself is actually a Terraform module, a root module we call it. Now, what is a module or sub module? More to be more specific, you mention you can group resources or like the similar kind of code as a like normal I would say kind of a format using variables. You are making it dynamic. Now one sample of the Terraform module, let me just show you. Terraform module using Terraform documentations module overview. So let's see. Again, almost I mean Terraform module, you have main, you have variables like normal Terraform, but the define part is different. So Terraform custom module. I have code in repo, but I thought of utilizing only theory today. So resource. Okay, so there is some network issue, I guess. It's fine. I mean, see, this is how we define module. So in your root module, you define module, then whatever the module that you've customly built. Again, custom module making video, if you go to my channel actually, let me just go to channel, and there your channel in videos, and I'll just simply share the module video that I made already. A custom module video there. The code is also there. Terraform custom module development. I did long back, so that you can just use as a reference. Like there, you will get the full module making thing, how to make module from scratch. Okay. So yeah, basically you just have your resources grouped in the module like a template, and you can utilize that module and reuse that module in any other place that you like to. Okay. For example, I think this where you have your S3 bucket, S3 bucket website configuration, access control list, like S3 related resources you have in this particular S3 module. custom S3 module, and there you have bucket name and tags and all these kind of are variables or inputs. And in outputs you will get ARN, name, domain, and all. And in the modules, in the user supplying the bucket name as an input and tags as an input. Now from this module you will get the bucket, say output module dot website. This is the module name dot ARN, with public IP and all that you'll get. So again, I mean, if I want to explain every single thing in this single session, it will be become very big session and like go overboard. But yeah, that's the basics thing. Yep. Any particular question, I will definitely answer. Let's see. Now, while working in multi-cloud, actually another important point, you can have like, suppose one module actually utilizing GCP, one modules you can, I mean, you have in Azure. One of the best practice I feel is that you can have your provider defined in the main module, then you call the modules, so you don't have to specify the modules providers in the module itself. Okay. Now that's the exception when it's external module, not in your code. Like, you don't have a much control. If it's already there, then there are possible chance of conflicts as well. Suppose already define some lower version, and that module actually require that external module requires a higher module, then you will have a conflict issue. In those cases, what you can do is you can have your move statement, and you can utilize that. One question is that Aryan saying, sir, I know Git, GitHub, networking, Linux, basic, Docker, Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins. Can I get DevOps job? I mean, even pretty much these are the basic stuff getting utilized. Like, you know, the Kubernetes, Jenkins. I think one missing, like two missing things are like programming language, be it Python or similar kind of like say Go or Node, JavaScript, Node.js. Any backend programming language will be good enough. And another thing is that having knowledge in the cloud, because ultimately these days you might have your main service as a say Kubernetes, a Jenkins, but that might be hosted in clouds, AWS, Azure, or GCP. There you need to have, I mean, like need all those kind of cloud skills. Another question came is Shukanto saying that what is the advantage using Pulumi or Terraform? So if you see that Pulumi behind the scene utilizing same APIs of Terraform that they're utilizing. Sometimes Pulumi is actually lag behind Terraform because they implement first and then you have Pulumi. Now, what is the advantage in Pulumi? In Terraform, it's HashiCorp language, right, that you use. But in Pulumi, you can utilize any programming language of your choice, be it Python, be it JavaScript, as you like. Of course, they have defined state, I mean, defined documentation and defined resources, naming and all. You have to use those, but in your preferred programming language, not whatever like a single one, okay, or not whatever. It's not a common like HashiCorp that language. That is not a common programming language, right? But in Pulumi, you have access to the programming language that it might be already utilizing from long back. So that is the most biggest advantage. One question here that again will just come back to my own. So I need to clear my Terraform certification. I have studied, but not getting enough confidence. Can you please suggest, let's see, any place from where I can practice Terraform question? So I think I'm not sure, but which lab might have the questions that you can try there. In different Udemy courses, you will have a place to practice it. But best thing to actually try to implement some project and face the challenges and then solve those are actually much better option. Okay, or much better way. In general, for clearing Terraform certification, if you have the basic basic stuff, say the variables, like apply, plan, validate, format, all those commands, how to make modules, some those things. Other than that, for example, how you can like, make sure that use the life cycles and all that. Some bit of I think Terraform Enterprise, like basic, like they will ask questions. So those are the things required. If you know those, you will have enough. Anyway, that I have actually a course in my YouTube channel. Anyway, if you go to my YouTube channel, there's the basic course available. Of course, free of cost. That already covered whatever you need to pass the Terraform exam these days. Okay, you can refer to that one. Otherwise, if you go on want to go for the extensive one, now Andy have a very I think free code camp. Andy have a full length I think 12-hour plus going the course. Mine was only 2 hour, but there you will get a 12-hour very detailed for every single thing. You can refer to that one. Okay. What does DevOps intern do? DevOps intern get task assigned by the say the, the DevOps head or say cloud head or say the senior DevOps engineer, and suppose they will say do some migration, minor migration, not a very production level. Do some kind of minor script development, do some like whatever the associate kind of people do the job. Sometime administer the Kubernetes services and all those kind of things they do. Jenkins, Kubernetes, some programming, scripting, and all. Basically, like it mostly depend on what the senior person or the like one step above person who is handling the DevOps intent they ask for. You have to do it. Okay. Now, what is the question is that, hi Sandeep, for multi-cloud deployments, it's from Sanket, that for multi-cloud Terraform deployment using Terraform will be best or normal Terraform will work. What will be the best practice? So for if you have multi cloud Terraform deployment, of course Terraform is a good tool of choice. Other than that, there is a env zero, there is a brainboard. I mean, there are a lot of external tool available, but of course you can utilize normal Terraform. It will of course work. There is no problem. It's just different providers, right? But yeah, you have other n number of tools you can utilize based on what you have to see that is the complexity you're able to handle or not, because the more tools introduce, the more complex it become. Like, it's supposed to solve it, but it happens the reverse way. You see, the more tools you're introducing, the more complicated it becoming. So see, if you can handle the complexity and you are like liking the tool what you're going to utilize, then it's fine. Of course, Terraform will work like normal one. Telegram, another option also work. And see the complexity you're introducing is justified or not. Okay. Okay. I think no more question, I guess. Let's see. Okay. So here one question I'm seeing. Hmm. Okay. Some here is saying that is Raj Kiran saying. Um, I'll come to. I see a lot of other questions coming. I'm just coming one very good question. Can you talk about the challenge you faced in production? I mean, I can talk about endless challenges I face. But what I will say, the most challenges are, so every time a service like something new come, okay, for example, you're working in serverless v1, okay, then serverless v2 come, there is no direct of doing migration. I'm talking about the azure rds azure serverless v2, okay, for postgresql or any db in general, like this the engine could be different. The problem one, like, sample example, migration sometimes become very tough because there is no direct migration available. You might have to use pgdump or maybe like other external tools to do that. That is one challenge, like one service update issue. Other is that auto scaling, of course, is a challenge. You have to make sure that whatever policies that, like, It could be normal instance auto scaling, or could be EKS, Kubernetes scaling, whatever service you're talking about. There you have to be very careful about having a scaling policy, uptime, downtime, the wait time, everything. You should like ex- experiment very thoroughly. Then you mention the values. Just some random values will not work. That I've seen in production is very important. Other than that, external, sometimes you know what happens, developers do external changes, uh, sometimes a lot of changes they do, that syncing with sometimes become very tough. Another challenge is, suppose you have a single code base, okay, and you have multiple clients with different requirements, different viewpoint, different implementations, but you're maintaining a single repo. That's another challenge. Yes, module comes very handy on that. You have to use a lot of if and else conditions, not even I mean else condition, but yeah, mostly parameters. I think now one challenge is that Terraform removing that conditional parameters. Maybe they will do something new in future, but that's the current state. Other than that, another challenge in Terraform, I will say, the version part, of course, keep upgrading, and sometimes you know what happens, something get depreciated, and you might be not that much aware of that, and that get depreciated. You have to quickly do damage control, find out what is the main alternative, how can I survive that situation. That's a do and die situation that I seen a lot. Other than that, that's it. It's a lot of things, right? In Terraform, someone like authorization part, for example, that secret cannot be somehow like somebody missed some values, the secret in the state. That's a very dangerous stuff. You have to make sure you use sensitive that keyword in Terraform uh, code, so that make sure that that should not get printed in the logs or in state, that one. Other than that, um, mm, yeah, another issue was that the interlocking dependence. Suppose one module, say module A have dependency on module B, then module B have dependency on module C, module C have dependency on A. That should ideally never happen, but if that's the case, that there is a circular relation creating between multiple modules, that creates a deadlock. That's a bad situation. I mean, of course there's a solution. Just simply remove that condition that is making it problem. Maybe make another module, and once all other module ended, or maybe if that's the required first, then that whatever required first, make that ready, that component ready or service ready. Then you build up other services, other or fire up other modules. That kind of stuff also there. So yeah, there are of course a lot of issues. Mainly, I will say the version changes, the service upgradations, modules management. Okay, I mean, if you have one or two modules, okay, five modules, okay. If you have hundreds of modules, a lot of developers are working on. That's another tough thing to manage. Of course, there will be a number of challenges. I say. Miss Rakshita Sahu saying, "Do you record session? My all the sessions are recorded anyway. Yeah, recording will get in YouTube, and of course LinkedIn also will have it. Let's see any more very important questions. GitHub URL, I think you'll find in my YouTube channel. Anyway, I will share in the description later on, so don't worry. I'll see any questions come. I will definitely answer. But let's in the YouTube, I think a lot of question I was asking. So it's Aryan saying, or maybe Dilip. Okay, Dilip has a question first. So, do you have any link material for Azure Kubernetes issues, troubleshooting them, and any repeated issue in real time? I have the material for Azure Kubernetes issues and troubleshooting. Maybe I'll share maybe tomorrow or day or tomorrow as a public post. I can do that. But any repeated issues in real time, I don't have it. Okay. How to build your own Linux server. Now, that's actually a kind of big topic in small term. Um, but maybe I will have a separate session on that. I mean, in this session, it's about Terraform, so we'll cover on that later on. So, how good is Terraform market if I want to switch my career to DevOps learning? See what happens. That's a very important. I mean, if you are anyone listening to me, maybe a few people, listen very carefully. In DevOps profession, if you only have knowledge in say the Terraform and one cloud, okay, that is not enough to sustain a job. At least I, as far as my experience, okay. What happens, Terraform's kind of one time, full effort, okay. So from scratch you're working very hard few months to build up something MVP product or basic serviceable product. Then of course another few months, then you have something more stable, something more production level. Then there is some bug fixes, this and that will go on and on. It will reach a state, then it is like it's already very good shape now. And maybe there are few more people, say one or two people who also in the project and know good. If you are the most paid resource that made the project from the very basics to this state, there are high chances to reduce the cost. You might be out of the team sooner or later on. And that's a kind of industry level I've seen, and that's kind of very common these days I've seen. So if you have only Terraform, I mean Terraform knowledge and one cloud, like say Terraform and cloud, okay, and your most of the part is done, then in the project you might be not needed anymore. Looking at the cost perspective, if you're the highest paid resource, maybe in the beginning of the project you are the resource that is must because you have to develop this project. But later on you are done with the project, that's it. So and if of course there is another projects comes and all, it's fine, but it's not, that's not the always the case. So what is the better way? You learn Kubernetes. Like as a DevOps engineer, you should also learn Kubernetes. You should also learn the programming languages, the backends, to write automation scripting and all, because there could be other tasks than the Terraform. Could be some migration, like database level migration. Could be some server troubleshooting fixes. Could be some security review and all other stuff, like maybe API development. I'm saying there's some minor API development that you need to do. Maybe you want to have a web page that you want to take inputs from other people. So those basic stuff you should know. Otherwise, just knowing Terraform will be not stable as a DevOps engineer. You should have other skills to compensate other opportunities you get. Okay, that's a very important thing, and that's a very good question by the way. We would ask it. I mean, it's asked by Rahul. I think so yeah, if you learning Terraform is a very good choice, you will get opportunities. But just Kubernetes, I mean just Terraform, you should not focus, because Terraform will work, and after the work is done, then you should have the importance to the team other than Terraform. That's what I'm saying. How much Linux is required for DevOps now? That's a good question, Aryan. A lot is a short and simple answer I can give. Um, in DevOps, you will be mostly working with command lines, shell scripting, deployment script will be write. It will become like maybe in the beginning it was fancy tools and all, but at the end of the day it will become something more of the command line or shell scripting tool. So you need to have very good knowledge of Linux and shell scripting for DevOps. Mm, sorry. Sandeep, can you please give me insight on Terraform dynamic blocks and use cases of it? Just asking what is the hard thing to learn in Terraform. Actually, the I also thought maybe the this dynamic block is the most hard part, but find out to be actually it's not that one. Having like you simply define an array. Okay, array could be a map of array or array, whatever array you want, but like basic array, and in a dynamic block just looping it and then you utilizing it. Now I think let me just show a quick example of what I think you are just trying to say. So Terraform dynamic block, for example, with example, it's very simple one. See, I think BPC, let's see any good examples. Mm, See, this ingress egress is a very good example because there it's a very common one, right? In here, you just need to iterate over protocol from port to port and CIDR blocks. Exit is the same thing. You can actually make this ingress and exit as a loop. So see dynamic. That's another good use case. So there actually here you have inbound ports and outbound ports, and maybe this is what. So yeah, this is actually a array, right? See in inbound ports and outbound ports is an array item, and dynamic then the what is the block name. So whatever block name. So here is ingress. That's why ingress. It could be xyz attribute name that is reiterable or that could have a repeated usage. Then you can say dynamic then that particular item. Then for each, this is actually what is the iterator or the variable that you want to iterate over. So local inbound ports. Now what you have in inbound 80 and 4. So it will have a two-time loop of the variable, right? And what is the content? Because ultimately inside this particular ingress you have this content, right? So dynamic ingress and whatever you mention inside content, that this is the content will actually go as a direct content. So ingress, then the content you have like from port, then for each ingress, right? This is the dynamic or say component name. So ingress dot value. Now value is actually the inside of this particular value first object 80, then will be 443. Same for the dynamic also. So dynamic egress, then for each you are having the array is the array variable is the local dot outbound ports. Then you have the content where you are like say this is the loop start part or so for each. Then this is the main content part where you have like what you are going to write as a inside the content block. So from port egress dot value, whatever the value in the loop, let's get two port again the same value. Protocol is TCP. Now you can also, now this is a very straightforward one I would say, but the one I have shown in the video that I've given you in the I think YouTube chat section, there you have I think more use cases. So yeah, you have the CIDR block, then BPC, what BPC. This is the fixed one I think. Yeah, maybe what I was thinking also. I will definitely try to make a lab series. Like, this chit chat is not that. I also don't like just going through all theory and all. I just wanted to start and kick it off after a long time. That was my goal. And it's okay to start with the basic stuff. Um, Again, we are basic. I have my course in my channel anyway. So what I want to do now for real life use cases on different things, maybe backend implementation, maybe this dynamic blocking part it might have complicated for a lot of people. Then module making anyway, I have a session already in my channel, but I will make another very extensive channel when you will have real life use cases on module making that I want to do. So I do have plan to do all that. Maybe I will start making recordings for all that sooner enough. That is good. Yes. Any more questions? Feel free to ask me. I think this question is complete. Inside Terraform, running blocks, use cases, and just want to just asking the hard thing. Yes. So then that is one thing. I mean, hard part, I will say most, like I have seen most of people, hard part is to understand the module concept, okay? Like why you're defining a module, how you're defining a module, like how you're passing one input from one module, like output of one module as an input of another module. That is the complexity I have seen people facing. Even I, as a engineer, who I was learning, I faced. But since I keep using it and my mental model prepared, it was not an issue for me anymore. So yeah, that's kind of thing of I mean, challenging we face. Again, all the challenges we face the first time it will be tough. Once you start working on it, you solve that. It will be not that challenging anymore. So let's see any more questions anywhere. I thought to learn. Okay, here's one thing is that Rahul Shah. I thought to learn one cloud and Terraform thoroughly remaining toolkit as Jenkins. I'll just make it this screen's very smaller. It's okay that I'm not even seeing by you guys fine. So, or maybe I'll just go normal like this. Okay, so I thought to learn one cloud and Terraform thoroughly and remaining to like Git, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes on good level. Will this help me to move into DevOps? Well, I have 7 experience. I think yeah. I mean, see, one of the most demanded tool is infra as a code, and of course, to I mean, you are going to work in infra as a code for one cloud, right? So, Terraform and one cloud is good enough to get started. But to get a DevOps job, I have seen so far having knowledge of Linux, Ansel scripting, one programming language I must. I've seen a lot of places, a lot of people asking, a lot of companies asking for the same thing. One programming language, one backend programming language in simple words, like Python, Jenkins, and all. Sorry, Python, then Go and all that. So those are the things. Other than that, of course, Jenkins knowledge or any other CI/CD tool like say GitHub, that GitHub that uh, another thing is GitLab, CI/CD, Bitbucket pipeline, so a lot of tools are like there. You can learn any of those for conceptual part. If anyone asks any CI/CD, no, you should give it an answer like yes, I know one CI/CD. Proprietary wise, AWS have its own CI/CD pipeline, code build, code deploy, and all those tools for AWS specific. Azure have their Azure pipeline, Azure Verip and all that. So as a DevOps pipeline, that's how things flow work there. So all cloud have their own flow as well. So you should whatever cloud you are learning, you should learn that cloud CI/CD pipeline flow as well. That is important. Okay. And yeah, Kubernetes, Docker are now a de facto these days. Very hot topic, a very hot requirement these days to get a DevOps job. So you should be having that one as well. Okay. Any questions? We'll see. And sorry if my this is a like, I upgraded my MacBook, so the soft like the OS is very new. Sometimes some technical actually there's another thing I want to make a session. Any technical difficulties I face, I'll see. If too much issues, I will revert back. So that is the thing. Mm, so let's see what are the questions. Okay. Let's see. You can ask the question in YouTube as well as LinkedIn. I'll be answering them. Should I learn AWS using Springboard, like writing Spring Boot, like writing code in Java, uploading file in S3 bucket? No, this is not required, Ashit. You can just simply learn cloud. You can do what certifications journeys like any basic. If you're just thinking about learning AWS in general, then you should go for any certification courses, like practitioner or maybe solution architect associate. There, they will start a journey like that, and if you see um, like implementing a say serverless or implementing running a particular code in EC2, then you will see those kind of things are coming. You should try. So that will be much more better and easy to move forward instead of just sending like running one Java Spring Boot in anywhere, any S3. Because anyway, I mean, even if you are uploading the Spring Boot in S3, it's not going to execute or do anything, right? Because S3 is a file hosting, or say, file hosting place. There, no point, right? What you can do, I mean, if you want to learn the front end hosting part, you can have your React or maybe HTML, CSS, Java, whatever front end resource you have, you can do upload in S3. You can enable the side hosting and you can host. I mean, you can host that content in that particular S3 site. That is possible. Okay. Yes, actually, the good point that we actually don't need to learn an actual programming. But even if you're saying name that that one, not any programming language, but I have seen so far. If you think about, look at any companies that are hiring for a DevOps engineer for automating stuff, of course, or maybe sometime other automation cases or third-party API integrations cases, there people are actually preferring a backend language. That's kind of become a requirement these days. Although you can handle the same thing in similar kind of thing in sales scripting, but handling that kind of stuff sometime in programming language is easier than in sales scripting. So that's why maybe the reason people are preferring one programming language as a basic requirement for DevOps. Okay. uh, see, any other questions? Hmm. What is a cloud books? It's just a normal site. You just searching out for some key contents and all. You find it there. It's fine. I will say if you are going to refer, then refer to this. This site. There's Google Cloud best practices, and there was one repo. Why is the repo gone? Anyway, I share the link in the uh, in YouTube. I mean, anyway, I will post all the links that I have, and another tutorials by uh, Ashish Patel. I found very useful for Terraform best practices. Um, I think it's on May 25. There is also actually a lot of things are already mentioned, like have a separate directory for the models. Actually, let me post that also in the comments for Terraform best practices. That's, I mean, things are already there. Maybe I don't need to do it myself. Most of the things mentioned in these places actually is there and have covered everything that is supposed to I was planning. So I thought maybe sharing that links directly make more sense than actually. I don't want to reinvent the same wheel. Okay, that's just a waste of time. Mm, this article actually have everything. I mean, if you're going to refer the Google official website, there one repo I have, GitHub repo. Yeah, this one. I will share that link anyway. That one and this Medium article, where most of the things actually perfectly mentioned. You can refer those things. Okay. One question is that cloud advocate. Profile, what skills and exposure? Thanks for sharing tech wisdom. See, cloud advocate profile is particular to one cloud. So, and of course, making a community where you're doing advocacy of the particular cloud. So you have to make your or maybe you have to be very part of the community, very deep into the community of the particular cloud, and have a very good level, as a master level knowledge on particular services. You cannot learn all the services in any cloud. That you have to master one particular. Say, if you're in machine learning, so expert in machine learning services. If you're into container, then expert in EKS, ECS, all this complex networking part, basics, EC2 and other services. That's how you can become like knowledge, certifications, community and impact define the cloud advocacy roles. Okay. I think this is the last question I'm gonna probably take today. If there is no important other questions, I will see if any important questions comes. I will definitely answer. Otherwise, that could be it. Hi, I have done BSc in computer science, so wanting to masters, not but not regular college. So what you, so again, this is not about the station, but if you're planning to, I will suggest going for uh, a job, tech job, and then behind the scenes do some online courses. That is what people are doing these days. So you can do the same thing. Okay, any more questions? Let's see. Yes, no questions so far. Okay, you have 4 minutes more. If you have any questions, you guys can ask. Actually, I have a lot of. I mean, if you go to my, this repo, let me just share it quickly. GitHub ST031. See, my all the projects that is open I have made so far that is available. CI/CD deployment, Python for cloud, like Python related course and all. Sample Node.js Docker app. Well, I don't even remember how many I've worked on. So you can find all those things there. You can simply go ahead and see whatever things are useful. You can simply go for that one. I have no like use it freely as like you want. Okay, no restriction at all. Then that, let's see, you can refer to that. And there are many projects that are still behind the scenes. I didn't made open source. That I will slowly release. Okay, it's not kind of, it's working fine, but it's not have full documentation so that you can kind of simply jump on. That's the reason. Okay. Okay, let's see any more questions. One question, Aditi saying that which language one should prefer to enter in DevOps, if not good in coding. Then I will say Python and or Go. It should be the kind of tools. I will say Python because it's a much easier language. Okay. Now, the definition of easy in from, I mean, for me could be different than other people. I learned C, C++, B plus, like BB, Java, this and that as a university course to pass on the exams and all. So I had the basic idea. If someone don't know any kind of code, from that kind of perspective, I cannot tell in practical life. But while learning Python, I find it so easy. Okay, that's why I'm suggesting it, just to be double sure on that. Yeah, I was checking in LinkedIn part. Anyone asking any important question or not? But LinkedIn seems down. Anyway, I can quickly check here also if anything getting asked about LinkedIn that I should answer. And as I said, I'll be doing the this one, mm, lab sessions from next week itself, and it will be all recorded session. So hope that will be useful for you guys. See any more comments? Look like no more comments. It's fine. Okay, so no more question, I guess. Then I'm ending the session here, and I think I'll be this kind of live session. I will keep it on more or less on just QA kind of session, because what happening sometimes there are some unknown technical difficulties I'm facing even today also. I wanted to join 2 minutes early, but there's a lot of technical difficulties that you know make the mood down, to be honest. So that's I'm thinking, like, I'll just keep this live session just for QA only going forward. Okay. uh, there's one question actually is there. Is Biku Shah saying that, hello sir, I have joined. Let's close this one. Yes, so I have joined as a DevOps engineer, getting less than, sorry, not that one. As I joined the company, associate DevOps engineer, need some tips to grow my skills and knowledge. So if you want to grow your skills and knowledge, follow the latest courses on different topics, like Kubernetes, Azure, AWS, GCP, chess scripting, Linux. Like, those are the common topics like Jenkins and all that. Whatever tools that are hot in market and have the requirement, just learn it. And of course, whatever challenge you're facing, based on that, you have your requirements. You know already know what kind of requirements you have. Learn about those topics and develop your skills. That's how we should what should go for. Okay. Mm, okay. Look like no more. Okay. Yeah, no more questions. So I think I will uh, stop there. Yes, CK actually even before CK is supposed to release my Terraform and Kubernetes course. That's my first goal. I was, what I was doing on the last 2 weeks, or last few weeks, not just 2 3 weeks. I was trying to get my visa for reinvent. I was trying here and there from this and that, but all failed. I didn't able to secure the visa for the business visa for US, and I'll be not able to attend that event. So that's also another reason my boot got off, all that. But yeah, it's all part of the game. Maybe future I'll be able to attend. So I was trying to get the visa, and like I had a lot of things content planned, but I had to skip them and try for that. Of course, the home and studio was there. A lot of other stuff was going on. That's it's now settled anyway. I mean, what else I can do? So I will definitely now instead focus on my the courses. First on this Terraform Kubernetes one I already have. I yet to edit. I start even didn't even started editing it. So start editing. CK course also have makes small recordings that I have to combine and start and see what are the missing things, what are the new updated stuff that's came, and then start the course. So it might be a bit. It might take a long, but yeah, I'm on the path. I'll soon release as soon as it's get done because other things are not in my hand anyway. Okay, okay, guys. So good night, and tomorrow you have holiday. Then enjoy the holiday. And what I'm going to plan, like next week onward itself, and say no more slacking and no more other like no more bakwas. I will say. What I'm gonna start is that more practical content like I used to do in past. Basically on Terraform, Kubernetes, AWS, of course, because that's what I work day out, day night, I mean, all the time. Uh, if you have any suggestions, of course, do let me know like what kind of content you want. You can always reach out to me via LinkedIn. I was inactive in LinkedIn for a long time, I think over a month and so. Again, I become active, fortunately. So yeah, you can ask me there. Or I know a lot of if you didn't receive answer message, you can say Sandeep reminder or Sandeep answer this one. I asked long back. You can ask me. It's not possible to go to all the thousands plus messages, unfortunately. So if it's important to you guys, you can remind me back by the messaging. I will check, or anything related to content making that you want me to build. I will definitely do that. Today's session, I was thinking of like explaining. I made all the point. Then I saw some articles and already things are there. So I thought just sharing it will be better. Okay. Hope you guys like the session. If you like join. I mean, just join the channel, subscribe the channel, um, and of course, look forward to the next session. So those are going to be better, and of course, not theory anymore. It will be all practical, real life sessions. I mean, a pre-recorded one, and then we'll go and see what are the things I'm going to make.